This service is being facilitated by our local CUUPs chapter, Sacred Bridges Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans. The people involved are Zac, Janelle, and Emma Bailey, Jon McAlister, Diane Ford, Kelly Patterson, and Susan Jellinger. This week we will celebrate Earth Day, so this service will honor the sixth source of our UUA living tradition, spiritual traditions of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Even though we are not here in an auditorium, we are still together in bonds of community, acknowledging we are each a strand in this interconnected web of life of our planet Earth. I speak of air, element of the East, that atmospheric blanket covering and protecting the Earth. Let us receive increased clarity and understanding of our connections as we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. As we breathe together our communal breath, may we show respect to the circle of life. Hail and welcome. I speak of fire, element of the South, that energy at the core of Earth and from the radiant sun, the sparks of light and heat and life for our planet. May we stoke our inner light and heat and life for our highest good. May we show respect to the interconnected web of life. Hail and welcome. I speak of water, element of the West, that flows from our rivers and tides of the ocean. In the pulse of our blood, may we seek pools of wisdom as we honor the need to purify and cleanse our collective body of water that floats our blue boat home. Hail and welcome.
Our present reality, turn us toward a deeper respect for nature, our place upon earth as we cycle in the universe. May we honor all our relations, remembering to touch the earth and dance as we spin and twirl with and upon this heavenly body. Hail and welcome.
Technical difficulties. We light this chalice in the flame of our religious heritage. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers.
May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths.
The circle is cast.
Good morning to everyone who has joined us in our digital service today. I'm Kelly Patterson. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I will be the celebrant for this morning's service. Today, we are celebrating our Earth Mother and all of her inhabitants that create the interconnected web of existence. Our service participants today include Zac Bailey, Janelle Bailey, their daughter Emma Bailey, Jon McAlister, Diane Ford, and Susan Jellinger. Rebecca Ketcherside provided the prelude music and nature visuals, and Reverend Amy Shaw is providing us this morning with technical assistance. Whether you are with us today or you have been here for a lifetime, we are glad that you have joined us for this morning's service. Everyone is welcome to join us for services whether or not you are from Des Moines or have ever physically been at First Unitarian. We welcome all who have joined us for this online service this morning and hope that you are able to find something to help you on life's journey. After the service, Any who would like to are invited to turn on their mic and join others in a virtual coffee hour. Our faith and action partner for this month is Iowa Justice for Our Neighbors. Iowa Justice for Our Neighbors is a nonprofit organization welcoming low-income immigrants of all faiths into our churches and communities by providing free, high-quality immigration legal services, education, and advocacy. Iowa Justice for Our Neighbors was established by the United Methodist Committee on Relief in 1999 and has been serving low-income clients in our communities since that time. This organization serves people from all over the world, and its services are available for all without regard to race, gender, or religion. Once upon a time, there was a celebrant who had to introduce an offertory to the 112 participants in an online morning church service. The celebrant for the service said to herself, I will look online to find a funny story or anecdote to regale the participants with about giving their money so that they can continue to support the leaders of their church, the church's activities, and the agencies that provide much needed services to people in their community. Thus, they can feel very happy about putting money in the online offertory basket. But alas, even after much searching, all the stories she found were boring, guilt-inducing, not amusing at all. The celebrant was afflicted with much sadness until Susan Jellinger, a noted storyteller and musician from the church, said, I have it. I will sing a song that will entice all who listen to go to the website, here are the instructions by the way, ucdsm.org, click Give, which is on the top bar of the front page. And when the pull-down menu opens up, click on Online Giving and put any amount they'd like to give into the online basket. Since the song I would like to sing is an adaptation that I made of Malvina Reynolds' song Magic Penny, they might also choose to make a gift of many pennies, or even pounds of pennies, whatever a pound of pennies is in virtual terms. Oh, and they could even choose to make a repeating gift if they wanted to. The celebrant said, what a great idea. So here is Susan Jellinger singing her adaptation of Magic Pennies by Malvina Reynolds.
Love is something when you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something when you give it away, you end up having more. Love is like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, soon you'll have so many. They're rolling out the door. Open your wallets and send some our way. To First UU today, support JFund this way. Use your credit card for social justice ways. We end up loving more. Love is like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, soon you'll have so many. They're rolling right out the door. Love is something when you give it away, give it away, give it away. Your money helps, so please give it away, and we'll all end up with more. More action on the front, more giving ways that we want. If your money comes from the front, we'll take it through the back door. Love is something when you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something when you give it away, we end up so much more. We sure could use some more.
Thank you, Susan. We are a community of human hands and hearts who come together to share our laughter and our tears, We bear witness to and minister to one another as we struggle with life's challenges. We especially hold and love anyone who is grieving or heavy-hearted today. Susan Jellinger has a joy that her daughter Rhea is celebrating her 34th birthday. She says, "My daughter continues as a delightful light in my life, along with her husband Mark and her daughters Blair and Brooke." Yay. Let us bring into this moment anyone we know who could use some special care and attention. Within our community and across the wider world, there are people who are denied their inherent worth and dignity because of some fact of their inherent humanity. May the work of our heart support and comfort all those who are marginalized, oppressed, silenced, or at risk, and may we be called to compassionate action by the needs of those who struggle against violence, degradation, and destruction. May our light shine in the broken places of the world, and may we journey in solidarity with all those who fight for equality and justice in human relations. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Now we light 3 candles. One for the joys and concerns we have shared, one for the names we have spoken, and a final candle for all the joys and concerns which are deeply held but remain unspoken here today. Please join with our community singing, "Comfort Me." The words will be up on your screen. Emma Bailey will now be sharing with us the story for all ages. Emma?
The Earth Book by Todd Parr. I take care of the earth because I know I can do little things every day to make a big difference. I use both sides of the paper, and I bring my own bags to the market because I love the trees, and I want the owls to have a place to live. I turn off the faucet while I brush my teeth, and I use less water for my bath because I love the fish, and I want the oceans to stay blue. I take the bus and ride my bike because I love the stars, and I want the air to be clear so I can see them sparkle. I try to eat every bite on my plate and save my leftovers because I love watching things grow, and I want there to be enough food for everyone. I remember to turn off the lights and shut the refrigerator to save energy because I love the polar bears, and I want the snowmen to stay cool. I throw garbage in the trash can and recycle aluminum, paper, and plastic because I love to walk barefoot on the grass, and I don't want to move to Mars. Most of all, I help take care of the earth because I want all of us to be happy and healthy. 10 ways I can help the earth. Number 1, turn off the lights. Number 2, recycle. Number 3, save my leftovers. Number 4, be nice to the worms. Number 5, share a book. Number 6, plant a tree. Number 7, use both sides of the paper. Number 8, save water. Number 9, clean up trash. Number 10, put my underwear in the freezer when it's hot. Every one of us can help protect the earth and make it feel good. Remember, if we take care of the earth, it will take care of us. Love, Todd.
There we go. This. And I gotta do this. We're working out the technical difficulties. Hold on. There. Okay.
The responsive reading is on your screen. Number 550 from our Singing the Living tradition. We belong to the earth. This we know. The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth.
This we know. All things are connected, like the blood which unites one family.
All things are connected.
Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth.
We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it.
Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Lost. There it is. Now let us enter into a time of meditation. For today's service, I'll be leading you in a guided meditation. In this experience, you can imagine you are a tree with roots down in the earth and branches up in the sky. Now, if it works better for you to be something else, that's okay too. For some people, imagining themselves as a large boulder works, or whatever form you choose. Allow your mind to fill in the details while I lead the group through this exercise. Taking a deep breath and holding it triggers the 10th cranial nerve, also known as the vagus, or historically the pneumogastric nerve. And this sends a signal to the body to shift the autonomic nervous system out of the fight or flight response and into homeostasis, something many of us could benefit from these days. So when you're ready, take a deep breath and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let it out. Take another deep breath in and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let it out. As you listen to my voice and as you feel yourself supported by the furniture beneath you, allow the rational, logical portion of your mind to relax and enjoy this experience. As your child's mind and your imagination run free and play along with me for a few minutes. If you haven't yet, you can close your eyes if you want to. Imagine you have roots winding their way down into the earth. Let those roots go down, down, down. With each easy breath in and easy breath out, those roots go deeper and deeper. As they wind down, you might imagine sandy soil where it's easier for your roots to go deep, deep, quickly. Or you might imagine moving more slowly as your roots wiggle through a patch of clay or wind around a rock as you send those roots deeper and deeper into the earth. As those roots go down, notice that you can draw in moisture and nutrients and the energy of this deep connection to the earth up through your littlest roots into the larger roots and then into your trunk. Let that flow through your trunk up into your branches, out into your leaves, and then let the extra flow out into the air around you. As your roots go deeper and deeper, eventually you hit bedrock. And as your roots grow along the surface of this deeply buried rock, small rootlets grow out along the surface of the rock, and you can draw in this solid, steady energy of this deep structure up through your roots, up into your trunk, where the connection to this bedrock reminds you how calm and centered you can be in your body. Now, turn your attention to the sky. Notice sunlight streaming down from above. Turn your leaves and branches up and draw in that light. Notice how good it feels. Draw the light into your leaves, through the smaller branches, into the larger branches, and into your trunk. Then send this light and warmth down into your roots, down to the very tips of your deepest roots. And since you have more than you need and can draw in more and more, release the extra out into the soil around your roots, feeding and nurturing the soil and the things that live in it. Turn your attention back to the sky and notice the light and warmth of our sun, whose light has been warming and energizing the surface of the earth since before life emerged on this planet. In the warmth of the sun, get a sense of the sun's age and how long it's been steadily sending light and warmth out into the space around it and to the earth. As you draw the light and energy of the sun down through your leaves, into your branches, and into your trunk, continue to draw moisture, nutrients, and the energy of your connection to the earth up through your roots. And then imagine mixing these two kinds of energy together in your trunk or in your belly. Mix them together and notice how good it feels to be here in this place, connected to the heavens above and the earth below, centered and grounded. Imagine mixing the light from above and the energy from the earth, drawing more and more from each direction, mixing it together, and when you're ready, send the extra out into the space around you. As you do, you notice that there are other trees here. Notice the forest around you. Each of us participating today is here in this vast forest, a community of life drawing nourishment from above, from below, light from above, mixing the two and sending it out to nourish the community around us. Spend a few moments in this place of peace and quiet. When you are ready, come back to the sound of my voice. Remember a time when you felt connected to the earth. And as you do, imagine yourself as part of the interconnected web of life. As you consider your place in this web, see yourself connected to the webs of your life. the webs of nature, the webs of society, of family, family of biology, family of choice, or family of blood. Notice how the strands of this web connect across this city, across this state, this country, the world, and beyond. As you consider your place in this web, what can you do to bring increased light, harmony, love, or justice into the parts around you that need them? In the same way that trees draw in sunlight and carbon dioxide to generate oxygen that nurtures life, we can draw up from the earth and down from the sky to share light and peace out into the world around us. Imagine what that would look like for you in your life while I'm quiet for the next few moments. Okay, let that all go for now. We've planted seeds that we'll come back to later. Bring your attention back to your leaves and allow the light that's coming down from above, from the sun, to travel. Draw it into your leaves, down your roots, down your trunk, into your roots, and allow the light to carry with it anything you no longer need, down through your roots and out into the soil, where it nourishes and feeds the things that live there. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 up to 3 to help you transition back to a more external sense of awareness. Now, 1, slowly, calmly, easily, and gently returning to a more external awareness once again. 2, more and more now you notice you are physically relaxed, mentally alert and at ease, emotionally calm and peaceful. And on the next number I count, eyes open, alert, relaxed, and refreshed. 3, open your eyes, take a deep breath, stretch, and smile. Welcome back.
I, a child of the earth, from the dust I had my birth. In earth's beauty grew to stand, walk in peace upon the land. Here till I die, till my days and nights pass by. I love the earth like the jumping deer, like the pine tree on the hill, like the eagle flying high, and my heart sings to the dancing sky. Oh, great Spirit, here am I, child of the earth and child of the sky. I, a child of the sky, born with spirit wings to fly. Winds and visions make me strong, sun and moon both hear my song. And when I die, may my spirit rise up high. I lift my praise for the world I love, offer music of my heart, care for everything I see, holy mountain, eagle, deer, and tree. Oh, great Spirit, here am I, child of the earth and child of the sky. God of earth, God of sky, O great Spirit, who am I? Who am I that I should know all this glory where I go? Here till I die, till my days and nights pass by. I lift my praise for the world I love, offer music of my heart, care for everything I see, holy mountain, eagle, deer, and tree. Oh, great Spirit, here am I, child of the earth and child of the sky, dancing on the earth and singing to the sky. We have a patchwork sermon today provided by Diane Ford, Jon McAlister, and Zac Bailey.
My name is Diane Ford, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I remember my involvement in the first Earth Day 50 years ago when I was a high school student. I was politically active, preoccupied with the Vietnam War, civil and human rights, and pollution. At that time, I didn't know that I would end up an environmental activist. I didn't know that respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part would be a primary guide for me as an adult. Some of my earliest memories of nature were with my grandmother on the small, diverse farm where my mother grew up. Grandma was a bird watcher and always had lots of feeders, and she was constantly at war with the dozens of farm cats that she also fed. She would haul my sister and me around the dirt and gravel roads to show us the wildflowers, and I'm sorry to say that we were polite but unenthusiastic observers. 20 years later, I discovered the beauty and wonder of remnant prairies, and I realized that's what I had seen along the roadsides and railroad tracks years ago with Grandma. Nature is everywhere. During my years as an environmental activist and working for the Department of Natural Resources, I concentrated on policy issues and tried to move the political will towards action to preserve and protect our water, earth, and air. I'm not as active as I used to be. I admit I have been discouraged by the political winds and have concentrated on our beautiful grandbabies for a while. But what continues to drive me is the knowledge that nature and a healthy earth are vital to humankind in general, and selfishly to my grandchildren in particular. I was visiting the church grounds a couple of weeks ago and disturbed several does in the memorial garden, relaxing next to the building now that we've temporarily abandoned it. I spotted a groundhog down the woods path, busily digging, and heard a woodpecker. Nature is everywhere. I've been reading about this latest epoch we are in, the Anthropocene epoch, the time since Homo sapiens appeared and began changing the earth. Emma Maris wrote a book called Rambunctious Garden, Saving Nature in the Post-Wild World. She writes, many ecologists spend their life studying the most pristine places they can find, and many conservationists spend their lives desperately trying to stop wilderness from changing. We cling to fragments of virgin or old-growth forests, to the last great places, the ever rarer intact ecosystems, but they slip through our fingers. Maris isn't ready, and neither am I, to give up desperately trying to preserve the last great places, but she recognizes another approach. Nature is also the birds in your backyard, the pines in rows in forest plantations, the Chinese trees of heaven growing behind the corner store, the old field overgrown with weeds and shrubs and snakes and burrowing mammals, the green roof, the highway median, the avocado tree that sprouts in your compost pile. Nature is almost everywhere, but wherever it is, there is one thing that nature is not: pristine. Our 4 acres of Church Woods is certainly not pristine. It is situated on a steep valley with significant areas dominated by invasive species. The acres include a shale dump site from a coal mine. But still, this modest acreage has large trees that provide shelter and food, a natural architecture that supports numerous species of wildlife, including migratory songbirds, and an open, dappled shade understory that supports native plant species. Nature is everywhere. With the vision of church members and grants from local programs, we have accomplished a lot of assessing, planning, and projects in the woods. We have built trails in creative ways, including using shale from the coal mine and donated wood chips. We remove and control invasive species using the environmental policy developed by our trails experts. We have a labyrinth for individual and group use. Stream restoration projects resulted in a wonderful boulder crossing on our creek, and we have worked with other community members to address watershed issues. Conservation is everywhere. In these challenging times, when we feel we are going backwards, when we fear the loss of progress we achieved 50 years ago with the first Earth Day, when we are surrounded by short-term greedy thinking, when we are in a time when environmental action could be knocked aside by a human pandemic, we need to remember that precious nature, big or small, pristine or damaged, is everywhere and needs to be cherished.
I was asked a few weeks ago to prepare my thoughts on what Earth Day means to me and to describe environmental activities you or your family have done or will do. I had some thoughts, but I was distracted, like many of you, by the virus. In the middle of that, though, I ran across a headline about Pope Francis, and it grabbed my attention. I was raised Catholic. We never went to church much, and by the time I was 12, I was a hardcore skeptic. When I was in college, though, I studied Latin American revolutionary movements and gained a new appreciation for the faith and its potential for good in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Catholic and couldn't be for many spiritual and ethical reasons. However, I find it interesting that, at least in some idealized version, the church has a principled commitment to elevating the less fortunate. Lately, I'm intrigued by Pope Francis, who has shaken up the church quite a bit. He ritually washed the feet of Muslim immigrants who had fled to Europe, recognized the state of Palestine, blasted the cult of money that dominates the world, and has been quite often critical of the world's failure to act on climate change. Last week, an interviewer asked about the coronavirus as a, quote, chance for an ecological conversion for reassessing priorities and lifestyles. Pope Francis replied by describing wildfires, melting glaciers, and unprecedented floods as nature's responses to our way of life that is centered around, quote, using and misusing nature. He called upon all of us to, quote, slow down our rate of production and consumption and to learn to understand and contemplate the natural world. The interview took me back to a conversation that I had years ago with my brother-in-law. He's a Catholic, but otherwise fairly liberal. He looked at me very earnestly one day and asked, what are we going to do about climate change? He seemed in that moment pained by the question. Oddly, I recall that in the same conversation, I learned of his family's upcoming vacation in Colorado or Mexico or Europe or one of the semi-annual plane trips that he took with his extended family. I did not volunteer that one such round-trip flight to Europe would more than double his family's carbon footprint for the year. And it probably wasn't written at the time, but I could have shown him Pope Francis's encyclical in which he derides a world where, quote, a minority believes that it has the right to consume in a way which can never be universalized. I don't think either of those things were what he was looking for. Pope Francis is not alone among the religious leaders of the world condemning our failure to act on climate. For example, the Dalai Lama called climate change an issue that affects the survival of humanity. South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu called it the human rights challenge of our time, and he condemned climate apartheid, in which the rich pay to protect themselves from the worst impacts while the poor take the full hit. Circling back, this sounds much like Pope Francis, who sees both climate change and COVID-19 as the increasingly desperate cries of the earth and its poor. We should not fail to be clear about it. Climate change is a crime committed by the rich against the poor and the helpless. It is a theft of food, of land, and of homes. It is destruction of neighborhoods and villages. It is annihilation of nations and peoples around the world. Pope Francis was a little unclear whether he meant climate or COVID when he said, "This crisis is affecting us all, rich and poor alike, and putting a spotlight on hypocrisy." Then he added, this is a time for integrity. Now, maybe some of you think that the Catholic Church could use a large dose of that integrity themselves as they continue to fail to do adequate penance for their own plague of abuse. I absolutely agree. However, Pope Francis has distinguished himself as one of the most important moral leaders in the climate crisis, and we would do well to accept some of his teachings in this matter. So what does Earth Day mean to me? What do I do to live out its meaning? Not enough. Clearly not enough.
Good morning. I'm Zac Bailey, and my pronouns are he and him. I've been a UU since 2009 and a member of First Unitarian since 2012. I'm also a member of Sacred Bridges CUUPs, the pagan affinity group here at First Unitarian. I was drawn to be a UU because it is a safe place for me as a pagan, and I have found many kindred spirits here. This morning, I would like to talk about 3 ideas. The first, Tower Time, is an archetype from Tarot. I'd also like to talk about the butterfly effect and the moral arc of the universe. I'll briefly describe how I see these interacting and maybe a way to navigate these very interesting times. We are in the midst of tremendous change. Who would have guessed in December or even January that we would all be where we have been for the last month, doing what we're doing? What does the future hold? 1 month, 3 months, even 12 or 18 months out? I think many of us can see many things that concern us in the world around us, and when this is over, that a more equitable way of operating a society is where we want to be headed. Let's circle back to those 3 ideas. The first is Tower Time. The Tower card in Tarot is presenting itself to a lot of people in the webs I'm connected to this year. And here are a couple of excerpts about what it means when this card shows up from a website that I use frequently called Psychic Tarot. In general, it is likely that some people / situations that you have counted on as being there for you may no longer be there in quite the same way. And in relation to work, sudden reversals can happen now. This is not an indicator that you need to panic. It is, however, an indicator that forewarned is forearmed. Even if you think that you have the most stable job or sources of income in the world, what would you do if it dried up tomorrow? The Tower is about upheaval. It is about destruction of old structures. When it shows up, there can be periods of rapid change that can be resisted, or in a more enlightened way, navigated, massaged, and pushed to clear the way for new and different structures. In addition to being a pagan, I'm also a shamanic practitioner, and I'm in a 2-year apprenticeship program. This spring, we've been studying weather shamanism, and I did a shamanic journey to meet with weather spirits. I was shown wind and rain, and that you don't stop a storm with a frontal assault. You move it by shifting the swirling currents at the edges, or the corners if storms have them. You get them to swirl a little more or a little less, and push, and then they push or pull the storm front and shift it one way or the other. This ties in with my second idea, the butterfly effect. The idea that something as small as the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Brazil can initiate a cascade of events that shift weather patterns and can shift a storm from a track that hits the Gulf Coast to a track that misses most land masses and dissipates out at sea, or the opposite. Lastly, many of you may be familiar with the idea of an arc to the moral universe. Theodore Parker, a Unitarian minister in Boston in the 1840s and 50s, said it this way: I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one, and my eye reaches but a little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience, and from what I see, I am sure it bends toward justice. In these trying times, we see many around us acting out because they are afraid or uncertain, maybe even terrified. We also see a tremendous outpouring of people working to help, coming together, 6 feet apart or via Zoom, to figure out ways to help, ways to ensure others get food, shelter, medical care, basic necessities. My intent today is less a call to action than it is the call to energize that web, invisible or otherwise, around us, to reach out and support and nurture each other and the seeds that we want to grow to replace the structures the tower is demolishing. What do we want to grow and nurture out of these challenging times? How can you nurture and support love and light, harmony and justice in the interconnected web around you? The seeds have been planted. What is going to grow?
Earth, element of the north, may we continue to honor you this Earth Day and beyond. Hail and farewell.
Water, element of the west, may we heed the need to cleanse earth's waters this Earth Day and beyond. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
Fire, element of south, may we show respect on this Earth Day and beyond to the life-sustaining and the destructive ways you can manifest around the globe. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell. Air, element of the east, may we walk upon the earth so as to reduce our carbon footprints for the Earth Day and beyond. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
The circle is open. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
After our last song, you're invited to turn on your mics and join us in the Zoom room for virtual coffee and conversation. Our last hymn is Blue Boat Home. Please sing along with Peter Maher's Slides by J.D. Stillwater. The words are up on your screen.
Don't be the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. Drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. Give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Now it's time you can unmute yourself.
You asked for
I was gonna say hi.
it. Good morning.
Hi.